Alright, welcome to the Bountiful Herbs Botanical Medicine Database. This is the version 2 complete walkthrough. So we're going to go through everything about the Bountiful Herbs database right now so you can see it. So you see I usually pin the database here down at the bottom here so that I know where it's at and I can open it when I need to very easily. So I highly recommend when you download it, you pin it to your taskbar at the bottom and you'll be good to go. This can work good for the Apple or the PC as well. So just a couple things before we get going too deeply here on this. Version 2 has a lot of incredible updates, so this is going to be a little bit of a long walkthrough, but I recommend that if you're looking for something in particular, you just kind of skip through it and see if you can find what you're looking for. There's a lot of new cool stuff that we've included in the database, so let's get started. Alright, first thing that happens when it pops up is you're going to see this. And so it doesn't quite look like this when you first get it. It might be a little bit smaller, a little bit bigger. So you can see that the size of this is adjustable. So I highly recommend that you make it the size you want and that you make these things as large or as small as you want them as well. So I kind of like it this way. Probably should put a little more of the primary actions in there. But basically this gives me a good idea of the common name, the Latin name, and all of that. Whatever one you click up here is going to be alphabetized. So it's either going to go from A to Z or Z to A. You come over here, you can do the same thing with any of these. So it's just like a simple database in this respect. These are all the herbs that are in the database currently. So in this option that we have right here, you can see search by names is highlighted. You can come over here and you can also hit view and click search by features or search by names. That's going to bring you to the same either one of these. So it's just a different way to get there. So to get started, let's say we're looking for a specific herb by its common name. So let's say milk thistle. You can see it pops up really easily and quick. It automatically narrows the search down to the thing that you're looking for. So it's very, very easy in that respect. Same with the Latin name. So let's say we're looking for milk thistle here as well. That's going to be Silybum marianum. So you can see here it is, and there it is. So that's a simple way to search if you're looking for something that you already know the name of and you know what herb you're going to give the patient, and it's just a quick way to look for the herb that you need. One of the things with this database is we put in a ton of information. We put in lots of indications, lots of primary actions, lots of secondary actions, but we put the main things that have a lot of research behind them or at least are well known in traditional use. There's a lot more that you could be adding to this. And so that's why we wanted to make this database completely customizable for the user. And that's what makes our product so unique, is that you can customize it to what you desire to have for your database. And you can add new herbs and everything, as you can see up here. So let's just say I punch something in really quick. I punch in gallium, and you don't just have to like erase it like I just did. You just come up here and you hit clear fields, and that's going to erase it as well. So that's a simple way to do it. And so you can also come down here and pick the herb that you want just by going through alphabetically, going down the list. So easy ways to get through this. Now, before we go into the search by the features, because that's the greatest thing that this does and the thing that makes this so worthwhile about having and making it so you can individualize tinctures for people, let's go in and dry herbs as well, whatever formulas you're using. Let's go in and just check out one of these here. So, when we click aconite, let's say, we open it up, you can see that we get a full information page. I just double clicked and it popped right open. And this information page is the herbal monograph. This is all the information that you need for that herb. You can see that there's a few new things added here, and we'll talk about those as I go through it. So you can see you have your common name, your Latin name, the plant part that's commonly used of that plant, and the energetics. The energetics that we use are basically going to be one of 4. So we say it's either warming, or it's cooling, so it's either hot or cold, right? And then the other possibility is it's either drying, which often goes with warming, but not always. And it's moistening. So those are the only energetics we put in here. Can you put Chinese herb type energetics? Yes, you can. For some of them, we put those under important notes. You can say that here. TCM equals used to restore depleted yang, disperse cold and relieve pain. So that's like a TCM use of this herb. You can, if as a Chinese medicine practitioner, if you want to use this database, it will be of benefit to you as well. You just put the whatever energetics you want to put in here. But we just start with those base ones. And then you can see here that you also put in the taste. So this is very subjective. I put these based on what I learned them to be. Some of them I know, and some of them I don't very well. So again, this is subjective, and everything's editable. So you can come in here and change this and make it whatever you want, and it will be searchable by that term. And so the way that it searches, and we'll talk about that, it searches either primary actions, its secondary actions, its indications or symptoms, and those are the big things, or energetics. And those are the main things that you're looking for. It also, we have an exclude or include for safe in pregnancy or safe in lactation. So when we get here, this is a new addition that we put in here. This is really great. Basically what you're saying is this herb is a low dose herb. You decide what you consider a low dose. We considered anything basically like a mil and under to be low dose, or if it's something that's just really, really hot or something like that we just think is a good idea to put in low dose, we click this box. What that does when you click this is when you do the formula option, so if we added this to the formula and we viewed our formula, this herb would show up red in that box as a reminder that you need to come in and check your dosage and look to see, okay, how many drops is this person getting per day based on the script that I'm writing? And that's very important because we want to make sure that when you prescribe to people, you're not hurting them. And so that is really important there. Now this is very simple. You can see it's contraindicated in pregnancy and lactation. You would not give this to a pregnant or lactating mother. And so you just click the box here and here, and now when you do the searches and you click the box that says only search herbs that are safe in pregnancy, and you click that box on the search option, it's going to negate this herb. It won't show up. So it's just a quick way to look for things for a pregnant or lactating mother, which I think is an awesome addition to the database. So you can also see that other than the things that we've already talked about, you have some important notes we mentioned. You have some of the main constituents in here. Aconite 10 is a potent nerve poison. It gives you little blips. This is important for side effects that you might see with a patient, and some things you can do if they have those side effects. Not all of them have that, but this is a pretty potent herb. And so we come down here, and usually used homeopathically. So if you come down here, you can see there are references. There are a lot of references that you can see here. Now, right here it says double click on items for details. Basically, again, everything is customizable in terms of size. So if it pops up like this for you and you're like, man, this is too tiny, you can make it larger. It's all about screen size. And if your screen size isn't big enough to make it large enough where it's comfortable for you to look at things, then you double click and you can read the whole blip about it. And whatever you double click is in itself also customizable in terms of size. Whatever sizes you select will stay in there that way, so when you open it the next time, that's how they'll be. Alright, so you can see that this little cursor is blinking, so it means that what I click on, I can edit. And so I'm just going to show you really quick how easy this is. So let's just come up here, and all you do is you put a little semicolon, a space, and then you type in whatever. I'm just going to put some strange word in here. Cool, right? So now I save my changes. If I don't save it, so I come down here, let's say I'm at a conference or whatever, and I accidentally hit a bunch of stuff. You're like, oh no, what did I do? Well, if I close this, it's not going to save that because I did not save my changes and close. Also, I can hit undo changes and make that go away. That made that go away, and it made the new one that I just put up here go away. So I'm going to rewrite that real fast. So now what happens if I save it, it's really neat. When I come under common name and I type in cool, look, aconite pops up. It is now searchable in that term. So that's what makes this database so useful for herbalists And you know, you have to realize is that herbalists have different views of what the herbs do. And so what I'm showing you here is just how to use this as an herbalist and make and create this database to be your own. And that's what we want. We want you to customize this to something that's really nice for you. Another new feature that we've added is you can now add pictures of the herb. So if you're wondering what the herb looks like in nature, this is a good way to do it. Or if you want to add pictures that help you identify it, you can as well. The base information comes with like a few references. It comes with all of this information that you're seeing here, and these automatically clicked, so you can change these if you don't feel like an herb. If you think an herb is safe in pregnancy, you change it. You unclick it and you're good to go. Or if you think it's not safe in lactation and we say it is, go ahead and click it. You come over here and you see that here's the picture. You can double click on it and you can look at a larger version of the picture. This is really important because it's nice to be able to identify the herb in nature, and we included what we consider just one simple picture of every herb to give it a little bit easier way to identify it in nature. But you take pictures when you're out looking at them, or of dried herbs if you order them, or whatever you want to do, or the tinctures, and you can add those pictures in here and you'll be able to know what it looks like. You can add your taste or whatever. This is very good and helpful for identification. So that's pretty much it here. Anytime you add a change that you want to search by, remember you put that semicolon and you add it in here. So we know that these are the main primary actions that aconite does, but let's say, you know, I look at this and I'm like, well, you know, I think aconite works as a great adaptogen too, or some strange thing like that. Then you would come in here and you would just put adaptogen. And so now when you search for this after you save it, you can search through your primary actions and it'll pop up under that too and narrow. So this is such a cool option. Now I want to also show you that you can print from here as well. So you come down here and you hit print. I'll just show you what it looks like. So let's say a patient comes in and they're interested in an herb, but they want to know a little more about it. You can print off all the herbs in their formula and just say, well, here you go. I mean, it's a lot of paper to do if you have a large formula, but it gives you an idea. So it's going to pop up. I just have it go to OneNote so you can see what it looks like. Here you go. This is aconitum. Gives you a breakdown of the things. It's pretty straightforward. If you look over here, as we go down, look, the references are added in there now. So you have a great breakdown of references, which I think makes this even more beneficial for patients because they want to know when they go to their doctor, well, look, there's references that say that this works. And so it doesn't mean everyone has a ton of references. It's based on the references that are out there and then the ones we could find. And, you know, we recommend that if you want to reference an herb for a patient for specific use, you add that reference into your database so that when the patient needs a print off or whatever, you can do that. So let's go ahead and close that. Back to this. So you can see here, that's the print option. You can also add this to the formula from here. So I'm just going to hit it. It'll pop up. I think it usually makes like a ding sound or something, but it pops up and it says, basically, this has been added to the formula. You close that. It's now in your formula. You can view the formula just to see that's the only one in it. Notice it's red as a warning to you. And from here, you can double click and it will reopen that monograph. So it's really very, very user-friendly in that regard. So I think that pretty much covers what an herb monograph looks like and how to do any editing or anything you need to do in here. It's very simple. Remember, if you want to keep it, you save it. If not, you know, don't worry about it. Now you'll notice when I click on this from the formula, this is a different part of the database. You can print it, you can deal with it, but you cannot edit this aspect in here. It's not editable. This is a copy of it. It's a read-only version from the formula. So if you need to go in and edit, you come back into the database itself and you just open it from in there. And now this is your version that gets edited. And any edits I make here are going to show up in that read-only version as well. It's just that I didn't make any edits, so you didn't see that there. So let's go ahead and close this. So that's how the herb monographs or information pages look, and that's how you deal with those. So let's go over here, and let's just do another quick little tutorial here. There's a help option up here The help option brings you to About Bountiful Herbs. That's just going to bring you to our fact page on our website. And so you just go to our website, look at the fact page, and figure out if you have any questions, or if there's something you want to know about. You can also email us via the contact page on our website as well. The view option we already went through. The database option up here, this is a little different, I believe, in the Mac version. It says something different, but all the same things are there. So you just go up to the top, and I think you cover something that says Bountiful Herbs, and then you can get to the help option. And here you go to the database. You go to add a new herb from here if you need to, view your formula from here if you need to, but here's the two things that are really important. This is in the Mac version and the PC version. They're almost identical. I think the Mac version looks a little cleaner, looks nicer, but not much different. They're almost exactly the same. So everything I'm telling you here works for the Mac version too. So here you're gonna, let's say you're allowed to have 2 copies of this on your computer. So you can have one computer with a copy and another computer with a copy. But let's say you go to a conference and you make edits to this. Basically, you're not going to want to have to go and make those same edits to your other version. You just want to make it so that they're the same. So what you do is you come up here to your database and you click Export Database, and then you name it whatever the file name, and you put it wherever you want to put it. And then when you what you do is you can either email it to yourself, or you can put it on a little thumb drive. And then when you get into the other computer and you want to make it match up, you just hit Import Database and then click that one that you sent to yourself. The important thing here is this. Once you import in a database, it is going to cover the material that you have on here. So let's say, for example, you decide you're going to export a database. I usually recommend people do that. They just export a copy of this somewhere so they have it, just in case they screw something up. Then all they have to do is import it back in. But you're going to lose all the edits that you made if you import in a database that's old, like an old version that doesn't have your edits in it. So just an important thing to remember is that whatever you import in, make sure that it's what you want it to be. Alright, and so that covers that basic stuff there. This is adding a new herb. So if I click add a new herb here, you can see everything just comes up blank. So you can add a brand new herb, all the stuff you need to know about it. Holy basil, let's say. That's a great herb. So you click holy basil, you can put that in there as a common name. Then you would put I can't remember the exact, it's like starts with a T. So you'd put that in here, and then after you put in your information, it now becomes searchable in the database just like the others. So we've talked a little bit about that. So I'm just going to go ahead and close this. Remember, it doesn't add anything or do anything until you save your changes. So there's nothing in here, so it's not giving me the option to save, but I could if I had something in there. So there's all of that information. I think that sums it up. So let's go into search by features. Now this is where the power of this database really comes in. So a patient comes into your office and they tell you, look, I feel sick to my stomach, or I have a headache. Well, you come up here and you type in headache. Lots of different options here available. You can even ask them these things while you're talking to them. Is it a congestive headache? Is it a sharp headache? Is it a tension headache? Do you notice that it's associated with constipation, with impaired circulation, or menstruation, or when you're nervous, anything like that? So let's just click regular headache. What it did is it automatically, when I clicked that, narrowed down your search to these. Now what else is cool, if I come up here, I can also add another option of symptoms. So I can put in as many symptoms as I can, which gives me the option to really narrow down for a specific herb. The eclectics really like to find herbs that were like one herb that had the best indication for that person, very homeopathically minded. And so in this case, you can do that, and it makes it so that you have an herb that really is indicated for the patient. So I'm going to go ahead and let's just say I only want herbs that are going to be safe for this pregnant mom as well. So when I clicked that, it immediately took out all the herbs that I had clicked on the information page as not safe in pregnancy. So these are only safe in pregnancy. So you can see the list got a little smaller. Then let's say the mom says, well, I'm also I'm having digestive issues as well. So you would say, okay, so maybe I need something that is going to help for a stomach ache. right? So you can say, look, that says stomach ache. Oh, nothing really worked for stomach ache. That's probably because it's not a very common symptom to put in. Probably like one herb has it. Even though it's a common herb, it's just not a common symptom that we used. So it would probably be something like, gastritis. So I clicked that. Well, that took away most of the herbs. So what it is looking for herbs that have headache and gastritis in there. So this is really important when you're doing this. But let's say this is a pregnant mom, so maybe nausea would be more common. All right, look, we found 3 herbs that work really well for pregnant women that have a headache and nausea, and these herbs are good for them in those 2 things. Now I look at this and I say, well, I want this herb to make sure that it's going to be cooling, because this mom is hot all the time. So she's pregnant, she's just hot all the time. So I want the energetics of the herb to be cooling, that all of these are cooling herbs. I come here and I say, well, something that'll be beneficial, I'd want it to be a nervine as well, because I'm an herbalist and I know that nervines are beneficial in restoring nerve health. And so I look at this, and now I can see Melissa officinalis is the one that popped up that covered all those things. So I just right click on it and I add to my formula. I can also just click it and come over here and hit add to formula, or I can open it up and look at the herb and then, add it to the formula from here. So I can do it again, it doesn't matter, it's only going to put it in once. So that pretty much sums up how you do your searching. You can go through and do that. So now what I do is I find that one. I have 2 things in my formula right now that they really are indicated, but it's just an example. So what's nice is when I erase these, it brings up the ones that I want. I could also just hit clear fields and get rid of all of them. So I come up here to indications or symptoms. I know this is still a pregnant woman, and I say, well, she still has a headache. What other herbs do I want to use here that I think will be good? I found one good for digestion and that. Let's see what else I can use here. So I want to put a little lavender in there. This seems safe, so I add it to my formula. So it's cool. I can look at my picture of it. That's what it looks like. All right, go out in the forest and pick it. So there's all of that. So now there's my formula. It's a simple formula. Normally I put a lot more in a formula. Let's come up here and clear my fields, get rid of it. I come over here and hit View Formula. Now you can see in the formula option, there's a lot I can do here. So this is, let's say that I have a herbalist down the street that has all these tinctures, and I just can't afford to get the tinctures as a new herbalist or a new, graduated student, whatever, a new doctor. Well, you would just put in all your information here and then say, go drop it off and say, hey, can you make me one of those? So that makes this very nice in that regard as well. If you work in a clinic and you have a medicinary, this covers pretty much all the material you need to give a medicinary in order for them to fill the script. As well, you can give this to the patient. Then this is what I do. I have a tincture thing in my office. I make my tinctures. But I fill this out and I give it to the patient and say, well, here's what it is, and I make a copy and I put it in their chart so that when they come back I can easily refill it if needed. So let's go ahead and click the formula name here. So I would call this my headache. Now obviously I would not be putting aconite into a pregnant woman's formula, but I'm just showing you how to do this formulating option. So I come up here and I say headache and digestion formula. So I just gave it a name. It doesn't really matter what I name it. It's just now when I save it, that's going to be the formula name. So this may be the formula I use for pregnant women. I could even put pregnancy, in there just to, let's do pregnant, that's fun. So whatever I put in here is what's going to be saved and put into the formula name page. So there, you'll see that in a moment. So I put the patient's name. This is Jane Doe. Simple. All right, then I come down here and I say, all right, now how much of this do I want her to take? And I have to think about the things that are going to be in this because it's important. So I say, well, to really be effective, I think she probably needs to take this 3 times a day and probably a couple droppers full. So I would say take 2 droppers full. This is not a good formula, by the way, so I'll just mention that one more time. 2 droppers full 3 times per day. Okay, And then I would say, any other specific instructions I want to put in there too, but that's good for them. Then I would tell them this is from me, and then I would come up here and I say, okay, now how much of each of these do I want in my formula, and how much do I want to give them? If she's taking 2 droppers full 3 times a day, that's 6 mils a day. About 1 dropper full is equal to about a mil, and so you're looking at 6 mils a day, and you know that 30 mils is an ounce, and so you just want to see, well, how many ounces do I want to give her, how many mils total do I want to give her, and how long do I want this script to last. So let's say I want to go for a month, and I know she's getting it for 6 per day. Well, that means I'm going to need at least 180 mils, right? Because it's going to be 6 times 30. So I just put in 180 mils right there. That makes it easy for me. Then I just come up here and I say, well, I want this to be an ethanol extraction. I want this to be an ethanol extraction as well. So I put it in here on this little arrow. You can push it. You can also write it in here if you want. So I did that because not everyone wants an ethanol or a glycerite. You may want an essential oil, or a water extraction, or succus, or some other form that you want to put in here. Let's just say it's a glycerite in this case. So I hit glycerite and I say, okay, I want the majority of this to be that, because I know I want them to have very little aconite. So let's say I want it 80% this. I want it, let's say 15% this, or actually probably even more. So let's just say 19% that, right? And then you can see it adds it every time down here and tells me my total of the percentage. You want it to be at 100%. Once it's 100%, this red goes away here as well. And so let's say I want 1% that. When I put it all in, it'll pop up and say 100%. That's simple. Your formula is done. Now what you go ahead and do is you tell them how many times you want them to be able to refill it. So let's say this time I want 0 refills because I want her to try it out for a month and see what she thinks, and then come back and see me, and then I can put as many refills as needed. So that's done. Pretty simple. It auto-calculates after you put in the percentage, the number of mils that you need out of the total mils that you came up with. You give that to your medicinary person, or you make it yourself. I usually print off a couple of these. One that I'm going to put in the chart and use to fill the prescription, and one I give to the patient so they can see what it looks like. Now, this is completely done, so I save my formula. The formula is now in the Save Formula section, and you can see it pops up here. I have one in here, it didn't have a patient name in it, but you can see here that this is the headache formula. You can also make these larger or smaller as you need to, like you can everything. If you really want to search by patient name easier, it might be better to put last name first, then first name. It's up to you. You put it in here because that's how it's going to be in here, and you just decide how you want it. So what's nice about this is once it's in here, you can then re-click it to open it, or you can go in and make edits whenever you need to, because you can just put a bunch of these in here, and this is your own library of formulas that you've made. Very, very simple. Cool option. So now there's 2 ways that you can print this off or do what you want with it. You can either copy to the clipboard, what that's going to do, and I'll just bring up Word so you can see. Very simple. You click here. When I click this and I do that, I copy it to the page, this is how the formula is going to show up. And this is what I give patients. It's very simple. I can print this off for them if I want at that point. This is just the way it shows up when I hit copy. Now, it shows up just like it would a print option. But this is just a nice option in case your printer's not working and you need to save it in a Word document or something like that to print it off somewhere else. So let's not save that. If I want to print, I just hit print, and then I click the printer I want to print from, and it's going to print exactly how you just saw it there. So really simple. I'm going to go ahead and clear this formula. It's cleared, but it's still in my saved formulas, so I can bring it up. I can bring up my allergy formula. This is actually one I used. It's great. I can bring up my headache digestion formula, and it pops up there. Yeah, that's pretty much it. What else is nice is in the saved formulas. I don't want to save this one because it's not a good formula. I'd go ahead and hit delete save formula. That gets rid of it, and it's gone. I don't have to worry about it anymore. So there is the database. I think that covers most of the material that you need to know. When you're downloading this for the first time, this is version 2. You need to make sure that when you're downloading and you're putting it over version 1, that you do not keep 2 versions on your desktop. It will mess up the merging process. We've made it so that this merges databases so you don't lose your edits that you've made in the past, because this is a big update we've done to the program. I think that covers most everything you need to know. I'm very appreciative of your purchasing the program or if considering purchasing it. If you have any questions, please contact me directly. I have no problem answering those. Everything goes to our team, and they will, anything that's really difficult or that they feel needs my attention will come to me. So make sure you just let them know you're trying to contact me and you have a question for me specifically. I really appreciate your time, and you guys have a wonderful day, and thanks for checking us out.